Hey frag heads and fragrance lovers, welcome back. It's Benjamin here at the Centaur Fragrance Show, showcasing another beautiful fragrance. Today, it's going to be Wildfire from the House of Raw Spirit Fragrances. And full disclosure, up front, 100% transparency. I did get this fragrance from the brand for free. They did want a review, but they didn't pressure me. They didn't really tell me to. And I'm happy to showcase this brand that doesn't get a lot of talk and doesn't get a lot of love. And I actually think this fragrance is quite good. So let's jump into this fragrance and let's see what it's all about. But take this review with a grain of salt, or you don't have to watch if you really don't want to, but I would appreciate it, and I do hope that you like my content. Anyways, this fragrance is very interesting. This is of course, called Wildfire, so you would expect some burning, fiery, perhaps even dry notes, and you do get some of that going on here. Really, it's an interesting mix of florals. You're getting some jasmine, some ylang-ylang, some ambery qualities, some creamy sandalwood, and that's mostly of what I get through this fragrance. Conveniently, they actually write the notes on the back of the box, and I wish that more brands would either write the notes on the bottle in one way or another, or on the box. So yes, there's ylang-ylang. I almost forgot to mention the cedarwood and the musk. Those are the two notes, but this is supposed to capture the smell of an Australian desert. To me, this smells or captures the smell almost like a prairie wildfire. So it's like a prairie, very flat. Maybe there's hills, but overall it's still pretty flat. And there's just lots of wildflowers and dry grass, and the fire goes really fast. And this fragrance is supposed to capture that smell of like burning dry flowers, if that makes sense. So imagine a field of dry wildflowers and grasses and small plants, and there's a very fast fire, and there's the fragrance that comes off at the beginning of the fire, and those aromatic oils and those smells really coming into the air. That's what you're getting with this fragrance. It isn't overtly smoky. This is not a deep dark fragrance. This is not a birch tar fragrance, guys. This is definitely smells more of like a dry, deep in the summer fragrance where, it's really hot and you have like hay, and everything outside is, just super crisp and dry and almost brittle to the touch. If you've ever had a hot summer like that, this fragrance captures that. So anyways, back to the notes. The jasmine here to me almost acts irisy. Jasmine usually has, to my nose, a very sensual, mysterious, kind of like a laid back kind of note, kind of feel to the fragrance. And here it almost adds to the powderiness and almost adds to the dryness of the amber's a little bit dry. The cedar's definitely adding some dryness, which really adds to the quality and the feel to this fragrance. So the ylang-ylang here is not as waxy or almost as fruity as I have smelled some ylang-ylang, which I seem to come across in more fragrances than not. Here, the ylang-ylang comes off as almost a little bit fresh and almost a little bit aldehydic, and really, again, adds to that freshness off the top and the floral notes going on in this fragrance. Overall, feels like a dry desert fragrance, very well blended. The florals here are not obnoxious, but mostly this is a floral woody fragrance. But yet it smells a lot. It smells a lot more complex. It smells like there's a lot more going on, and it's quite hard to explain. The woody notes aren't dark or traditionally woody. They're more of like a dry, light type of wood, and they bang on 100% recreated the smell that they intentionally were trying to get towards, of capturing the smell of a wildfire. Really, really nice. It would be, they could have added more interesting notes to this fragrance. The sunflower would have been a really nice note, especially capturing the feel of, to me, like a wildfire. This is supposed to smell like Australia. This fragrance is inspired from down under, and actually in the dry down, there's some creamy sandalwood from Australia. So this might be my only experience with Australian sandalwood. I've never seen that, sandalwood from Australia too often. So I think that's really interesting. And here, I do have to say that the sandalwood has, again, with this dryness and the florals, it also adds to this quality very well. It comes off a little bit fresher and a little bit more crisp, and adding with those floral notes, the sandalwood here, really nice. It does have a creamy touch, but off the top of it, it has a little bit more of a nuance to it. And it almost has a little bit more of an incensey vibe, but it still has creaminess, no doubt about it. So very nice fragrance. Very well composed, very well done. I do have to say that this house is under the radar. Not many people talk about it. I guess there's a reason for that. This fragrance is very creative, and it's very likable. We'll jump into the compliment factor here in a second, but before we do, I do want to mention that even though this is a very light, very well composed fragrance, very well done, I just don't know of some people might have to make an excuse or might struggle to find an occasion to wear this fragrance, even though it's very well done and captures an emotion and a feeling and a thing they were trying to capture that smell of. They did that very well composed. So performance wise, I get 5 to 7 hours. It's not a strong performance, it's not bad, but it's certainly not great. And this fragrance works. It does linger perhaps a little bit longer than that, but it's not bad, but it's all right. I respect the performance overall, and that'll get you through maybe a little bit of a work day, or might get you throughout. Maybe you want to reapply or change up your fragrance later in the day. This fragrance can work for that, so it's not bad, and certainly is nice. Average projection, average sillage, not a beast, but again, the florals here and the mix and the blend are kind of a little bit more unusual, so it does get you noticed a little bit more than you would expect. So getting to the compliment factor, really this wasn't a complimented fragrance. I wish it was. I do think it's creative. I do think it's again, they hit the mark 100%. They hit the bullseye with what they were trying to recreate. But when you make such an artistic fragrance, like a niche fragrance, it's going to be more catered towards that market. Average person on the street might not want to pay for the price. We'll talk about that in a second. And also might not also think this is something for everyday wear. They might think it's a little bit unusual, but it's still likable. It's still quite nice. And if I didn't mention before, this fragrance almost makes you think there's spices, but there's really not. But yet it has an energetic quality about it, which perhaps helps the fragrance a little bit with going forward compliment wise. But not the strongest complimented fragrance, but it made people feel a little bit intrigued, but yet comfortable at the same time. Not a bad effect. So, but yet didn't shock anybody, didn't really wow or blow too many people away with being seductive or charming or really mass appealing or anything like that. So, my thoughts with the price. These are not cheap fragrances. Some places you can find them cheaper. I have seen where you can find a few of these fragrances is far as cheap as sometimes even getting closer to $50 and sometimes $80 for a full-size bottle, for people who are maybe selling their bottles, or I'm not sure how they got their bottles, but they're on eBay, and if you get lucky, you can find an amazing deal. I talked to somebody supposedly at either Ross or TJ Maxx. They were able to find a full-size bottle of both this Winter Oak and this fragrance, and they were discounted to about $20, which is outrageous. These are niche fragrances. They are not cheap. If you pay full retail for them, I think they're about 180 or so, if I remember right. I would not. I think that's a little bit much for these fragrances. I do think they're well done. I think these fragrances would comfortably sit in the $120 or even $100 range. They're well composed. There's good quality to them, but they don't smell exactly rich or soup. And I don't know, super mass appealing, or I don't know, it doesn't grab the attention as much as maybe even more mass appealing fragrances are. But as far as niche goes, I think niche heads would like this as a daily wear or a casual wear, especially if you like drier fragrances and dry floral fragrances with woody aspects and woody tones. I do think that this could be a nice fragrance, but I just don't think that this is not going to be for everybody. This is not going to be, this is not going to be the new hyped fragrance. This is not going to be the new word on the street. Buy it, get it now. It's amazing, and everybody hyping it up. This is not that kind of fragrance, but nice fragrance for what it is. I think I'll keep it in my collection. It doesn't have violet, but if you do like violet, and maybe you like things like Fahrenheit, I think it's called Fahrenheit Summer, or the Fahrenheit Eau Fresh, and maybe you want something a little bit more unisex and you're a lady, and maybe you remember that fragrance on your man, or maybe you want something a little bit trendier and you're a guy and you want something more affordable than the really hard to find and really expensive Fahrenheit Eau Fresh or whatever it's called. You might want to check this one out. So solid fragrance, nice, but not crazy for what it is. If it was more affordable, I think I could mention it a little bit more. Anyways, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. I hope that you enjoyed my review today. Let me know what you think about this fragrance. Have you tried anything like it? Does it sound good? Does it sound bad? And I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody, and bye.